Hi everyone, my name is Courtney and I am an NVH engineer with Next Year Automotive. And today I'm going to be interviewing my coworker Hyder. And we're going to be talking about some of the cultural differences between countries and learn a little bit more about what Hyder has experienced. So, Hyder, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, so my name is Haider Aldo. I usually go by Haider, so make it easy for everyone everywhere to say my name. It's kind of complicated. So I'm an engineer working for the automotive industry for a little bit over than 2 years now. So my job here is evaluate the audible noise for the parts that we design and build, just to make sure they're not too loud or they're not sound too strange when they're in the vehicle when the final customer is using that in operation. So typically the engineer that does this kind of task is called noise and vibration engineer or NVH engineer. So, and I've been on the same area for almost 18 years. So it's pretty fun. So I'm originally from Brazil, and I've been living in USA for 6 years on this July 30th. So
Oh, awesome. Okay. So, Hyder, you said that you're from Brazil. So, how many different countries have you worked in?
um, I worked pretty much in Brazil and US. So I had interactions like travels that I have to make over my career to countries like Germany, um, Italy.
Okay. So, what would you say are some of the main overarching cultural differences that you've seen in working in different countries?
Um, the language is always the biggest barrier. So, and what the people care or not care. Sometimes that's the main difference. So today is not something that you go to another country. It's a wow, it's totally different. At least the one that I visit, other than the language, that it sounds you are completely lost. But and you pretty much find everything. It's not as different. You just sometimes need to know where do you go. And but there is at least the place that I've been, there's no like something like wow, it's super different other than uh the language.
So, what about in relationships with your managers in the different places? Were there differences in culture in how you could talk to your manager or in your relationships with your coworkers? Were they more strict with your time and with what they wanted you to accomplish, or not so much?
During my career, I work with managers from Brazil, from China, and US. And I mean they are all, it's like the same boss and the different boss in the same country. They will be different. The way that we approach them and the way that we communicate, that will be different in the same country already.
Sure.
So and in different countries for sure.
Um, what were your hours like in the different countries that you worked in? Were they similar to the US or were they different?
um in Germany, I used to work a lot. They don't have like fixed hours, but I was on a special assignment, so I
Oh,
can't tell much. In Brazil, it's we work a little bit more in hours that we do here. It's like here we do 44 or 40. In Brazil, it's 44, so it's a little bit longer. It's interesting though. It depends on the company. Like my first company, they are very, very strict. You have to arrive this hour. You have to leave for lunch. we usually have a 1 hour lunch in Brazil. It's typical. It's a break. So we use that time to do some personal things, or even have lunch and do personal things that we have to do. We don't have as much freedom to, or flexibility to leave, to go to the doctor or something like that. We have to, it's not as free as in US. I think here we have a little bit more flexibility to do this kind of stuff than I used to have on my first company.
In terms of socializing with your coworkers, what was that like? Was there things that you did after work together, or things during work? Were there clubs or organizations, anything like that?
It is a different way to socialize. I think we used to socialize much more, and the company. One main thing that it's different from USA. The company that promotes the socialization, and the company promotes the socialization to be not with the employees only, but with their families. So my manager, my director, they all know all my family from the social events. And this was the first impact that when I arrived here, they do company stuff, but they don't include the family. So it's just an employee. So it creates a different bond because everybody knows everybody. So, and if you are, imagine you are new to the city, you don't have family, and that's the way that company bonds you to that place.
So what were some of the activities that you guys would do in Brazil, like with your whole families?
Oh, usually it's big barbecues.
That sounds good.
And people go to, we don't have as much parks that we can freely find here in US, so they rent a place, like little farms, not big farms, with something that kids can play. And we have some games that usually have soccer games.
Yeah.
So it's the moment and you can beat your boss. So if you don't like him, and they promote this kind of things, or volleyball, soccer, and people go to eat, and we spend the whole day there. And sometimes they provide us a little van to grab everybody back home in case people are not. But it's it's similar what we do here in terms of having games, food, and go to a nice place, but they include the family.
Okay, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
So my last question is, what advice would you give to a new engineer who is going to be working, maybe leaving the US to go work in a different country or vice versa? What would you tell them?
First, observe as much as they can to see the difference, or try to get used to the difference. So, and I think everywhere the best way is to try to blend. I personally, sometimes I think I don't do this so well as other people. Try to blend to the culture that you are in as best as you can, and try that. I think that's the best way to understand.
Okay, well, thanks, Heider. I appreciate
No
your
problem,
time.
no problem.